A very good evening and welcome to the India Development Debate. I'm Tamanna Inamdar and I'm happy to be speaking to you today. Well, let's tell you what's lined up on the show. We know that electricity bills over the last few months have given us shocks. Literally given us shocks when we saw massive amounts on our bills. Now, this has been in the public domain for some time, discussed on social media. A lot of celebrities also came and said, they had very huge bills. What has actually happened to the story? And that is what is important. Where does it stand now? Is there any reprieve for those who feel that they have been unfairly palmed off with very huge bills? What can you do about it? That's the first big story we're tackling on the show this evening in a deep dive. We're also talking about N95 masks. Now there is a directive from the government that masks with valves in them, people walking around with those little nozzles on their masks, that is bad. That is bad for the whole purpose of stopping the spread of coronavirus. We're going to get a top doctor in on the show and explain what the problem is and what kind of mask you should really wear, because these are very important things. Yesterday on this show, we were one of the first channels to break down for you all the details of the Oxford vaccine soon after the news came before us and across the world. Today you will hear from Adar Poonawalla of the Serum Institute of India. The SII is the Indian partner for the Oxford vaccine, and he is going to talk about how soon we may see this vaccine, if all goes well, on Indian shores. So we have a lot lined up for you, but let's come to our first big story, which is on power bills. So it's not just a Mumbai problem. The story surfaced about 2 to 3 weeks ago with, complaints of Adani Power, one of the service providers in Mumbai city, giving out inflated bills. That was the complaint. Now, by their own admission, Adani Power received 48,000 complaints of inflated bills. They claim more than 90% of those issues are resolved right now. But it's not just them. In Mumbai alone, it's Tata Power, it's other service providers. It's happening in Delhi, the reports from Gurugram, the reports from Ahmedabad. In Kolkata, the local service provider, CESC, had to then, under pressure, promised to defer bills for April and May. Others have promised that they will give EMI facilities to people to pay up. In Chennai, the matter went to the Madras High Court but was turned back. In Mumbai, the matter went to the Bombay High Court and then was directed to go back to lower courts. So the question is, what is the situation right now? Is there any reprieve? And what is the basic issue? So the basic issue is this. Across all of these places, all of the service providers which provide the basic service of electricity have assumed how much power you have used in the months of April and May. They have made this assumption based on your usage in the months of December, Jan and Feb. They obviously couldn't come and read your meters. There was a lockdown on. And so they have decided that whatever you must have used in these months would have been more than what you used in December, Jan and Feb, because those were winter months, these were summer months, you were at home, you were possibly using more electricity. It's an assumption that on the face of it makes sense. But can they be sure? Can we be sure that we are not paying for what we didn't consume? What really is the formula that these companies have used? And has this formula been discussed? Should it not be divulged to those who are paying the bills? These are some of the questions we're asking this evening, and joining me to speak on this now is Mr. Pramod Deo. He's the former chairperson of CERC. I'm also joined by Ashok Pentse, who's an energy analyst, and of course he is the consumer representative for the MERC. I also have with me Vishal Saxena, who's advocate in the Supreme Court and Bombay High Court. He fought the case on behalf of a litigant who filed a PIL saying that these bills should be reversed. So I want to welcome all of you to the show and thank you for joining me this evening. Vishal Saxena explained to me. Now the Bombay High Court said that these grievances should go to lower courts. So what has happened now? What is the status quo as far as the higher bills story is concerned? Do people just have to cough up the money one way or the other?
Yeah, hi Tamanna. Am I audible?
Yes, you are, Vishal. Go ahead.
Yeah, actually we filed a PIL not on technical issue rather than on humanitarian grounds. For example, if you take, for example, you take a example of a lawyer. Courts are closed and lockdown are coming in, going out. There was a 2 kilometer radius rule also, which was implemented in Mumbai, wherein you were not allowed to go beyond the 2 kilometer radius. So, from the perspective of I'm speaking of giving an example of a lawyer. We can't meet our clients, we can't go to the courts, clients cannot meet us. Then, on humanitarian ground, we filed a PIL in Bombay High Court. See, people are not able to work efficiently, fully. They are not fully operational. Offices are not fully open. They are working either on 10%, 15% capacity. So we are sitting at home. We are working from home. So obviously consumption would be on higher side. So my PIL was that first this a formulation should be there for a strategy formulation should be there so that the bills can be reduced as reduced by the government of Madhya Pradesh. They were around 50% slashing was there. So the High Court disposed of the PIL saying that there is already a 3-tier grievance system with MSCDCL. I made party to each and every, like Tata Power, I made party to uh, Adani, I made party, obviously, MSCDCL and MERC. The court disposed of the PIL by saying that there is a 3-tier system of MSCDCL. First in internal grievance cell, then consumer grievance cell, then electricity ombudsman. Now you first exhaust these 3-tier system, then you can may to come to the High Court. But they also directed MSCDCL to resolve the disputes of at least my petitioner within 8 weeks of the receiving of the complaint. So that is the status of the PIL right now.
No, so are you approaching the lower courts or the lower forums that have been talked about by the High Court? Are you going to pursue this further, or are you satisfied with whatever's happened and this is the end of it for you?
I have already forwarded the complaint to the concerned department of MSCDCL. And we are also, like I am in talk with my petitioner if he wants to go to the apex court as well. So we are planning to do.
Okay. Now, Ashok Pense, can you explain to me what the sort of focus of the MERC has been? And I know this is from a Mumbai perspective, but this is a common process and grievance across the board. In most cases, the power companies have gotten away with their explanation, which is, hey, we could not come and check your meter during the lockdown. We know you have consumed more electricity, so we are just going to figure out how much and add it on your existing bill. That is the theory. And does it seem as of now that this has been accepted across the board?
Let me try to go to the, rather than going into the analysis, how the consumers will be in a position to get relief to their grievance, first and foremost. First and foremost, if you consider the entire Maharashtra MSCDCL plus in Mumbai, Adani plus BSP plus Tata's all put together, across Maharashtra, virtually there are 2 crore 80 lakh consumers across the country. And the issue is virtually in all the cases virtually the same. That means the bills as compared to the earlier months, now they are 2 times, 3 times, etc., etc. I'm not going into that because you already explained the average billing. The average billing is not just because they failed, because there are something called as regulations, and as per the regulations only they have done. It is not arbitrary. If the common man doesn't know, because he will have to go to regulations and just look at that. Let me not go into that area. So one part of it is, if it is more than 2 times that, then the simplest, to even before going to that, the simplest part of it is, every bill that a consumer gets, there is a number of units consumed. The meter reading is there. Let's say, namesake argument sake, that if the meter reading is showing as 1500, go to your own meter which is in your possession, which is with you, very accessible. Go and read the meter. Let's say, assume that instead, when the energy bill is showing 1500, and if your meter is showing 1600, that means 101% you have crossed sometime 1500 unit. this mark, and that's why you will have to pay. But it can still very well happen that instead of though the meter the meter reading printed on the bill is 1500, and actually the meter is showing, say, let's say 1450, then in that case you have a grievance. Go to that go to that utility, and they will be in a position to rectify your bill. This is the first part of it. If it is more than
if I may come in,
then it is
no,
mandate.
one sec, Mr. Pense, if I can come in, please. I understand that, Mr. Pense, if I can come in, and I understand that, and of course people have to verify what's on their meter and what's on their bill. My question is very simple. At the crux of the matter is, do we know for sure that people have consumed as much extra in the months of the lockdown as is being claimed by the electricity company? How will you compute that?
See, the crux of
or do you have to take their word for it?
No.
Because nobody could go and check at that time.
Try to realize, first and foremost, now your last meter reading, let us say it was 1000 and today it is 1500, all put together you will have to pay 1500 minus equal to 500 units. Now the meter is in your possession, it is in their possession. So can't you go and read what was the meter showing and what is the meter reading now? So the crux of the issue is, don't believe the electricity fellows, don't believe yourself, but will you believe the meter which is with you? You'll have to believe somewhere, and the belief should be in your own meter, which is there for a number of years. So you believe your own meter. Why do you want to believe somebody else? Don't believe yourself, but don't believe in the electricity company also. And over and above, if what has happened is, as the advocate explained, the crux of the issue is, at this moment of time, what has happened is the incomes have crunched. There is no ability to pay for the common consumer the bills which have come 2 times, 3 times, etc. So the answer to that, they have given EMI, which has been made mandatory. If it is more than 2 times, they will have to give you EMI. So 2 things are there. One is they will have to resolve your issue. 2, if it is more than 2 times, then they will have to mandatorily give 3 EMIs to you. And unless and until this is sorted out, they cannot disconnect you. There is no hanging sword on your head. So it has been taken care of because the population of the consumers is 2 crore 80 lakh. Try to realize that. And because of that, there are bound to be in such a large population.
Yeah. No, in fact, it's beyond that. It is beyond that, because we are not looking at this from the issue of, yes, Mr. Pense, it's beyond that, because we're not looking at this from the issue of only Mumbai or Maharashtra. This is happening across the country.
Yeah, exactly.
And in fact, in Kolkata, they had to roll back what they were charging in 2 places. Let me just get Mr. Pramod Deo's version in.
Yeah.
You see, as Dr. Pense said, he has mentioned.
I'll come back to you, sir. Let me go across to Mr. Pramod Deo on it. Yeah. Yes, Mr. Deo, let me ask you the question, please. My question is that if you see what most electricity companies are saying, they are saying that they have assumed that you would have consumed more power because simply you were at home for longer than you were when the lockdown was not in place. So after March 25th, you would have been home for longer, you would have consumed more power. I'm saying that, isn't that assumption perhaps flawed? I have heard of a lot of cases of people who left where they usually are, went off to their hometown, their houses were shut, but yet they have received high bills. My question is, can you actually have a blanket assumption like that? And how do you ensure people are not overcharged? Of course, people must pay for what they've consumed.
Well, I think the best way to explain this is I am not in Mumbai. I anticipated the lockdown, and 17th March I moved to Alibag. So my house, only my housekeeper is there, whereas I am living in Alibag. So I got MSEDCL 1 bill here in Alibag. Then my sister is in Nagpur. She has a meter, again MSEDCL. And also I got a BST meter in Mumbai. And my wife has a flat. She has again a BST meter. Now, important thing is that the meter readings were not taken. Now, what I did, I tried to read the meter wherever possible, Alibag, even Nagpur, and send them to MSEDCL system. But obviously their system did not accept that, and they have billed the bills are on the higher side. But again, these are the 3 months bill. Earlier bills were much lower. So what has happened is that suddenly one will have to see. Another important point is when you see the electricity, how it is charged, it goes slab wise. So in a month, if you are consume 100 units, so maybe the first 20 units are at a lower rate, then next 20 units at a higher rate, and so on. So when you are talking about bills, if you are suddenly sending bills for 3 months, it has to be based on that assumption that these are the different slabs, and it should be done according to that. There has to be some kind of a formula to do that. So I find that there has been no attempt to do that. Obviously, in my case, the bills were not that high. So anyway, I have paid, but I have got the meter reading, and definitely. So the point is that legally there is a mechanism, because when I was in MERC, that time we had made the regulation, and there is obviously a consumer grievance redressal mechanism. First, it is the utility, which has a grievance cell. Then you have got the consumer grievance forum, and then the ombudsman. But obviously, these are the things which I don't think lakhs of consumers, as Dr. Pense has said, they all should not be resorting to that. There has to be a resolution of this, and it can be done. And another thing is, if somebody is arguing that we are giving bills on the basis of last 3 months, actually, since the consumption is seasonal, then you should take the last year's consumption in the corresponding month, and then you can come out with an average.
Yes.
That will be more meaningful. That's what my interpretation is.
Absolutely.
But as a regulator, I would say that this will be more logical.
No, and also in a lot of places, the seasonality question is a bit flawed as well. The seasonality question is a bit flawed. Everyone's consumption patterns could be different. Mr. Pense, don't you think that is a bit of an issue as well? Like in a city like Mumbai, there is not a stark difference between winter and summer. People's consumptions are pretty averagely the same. It's not as if it becomes bitterly cold in winters, unlike in Delhi. So the thing is, it just seems very arbitrary. The decision to use 3 particular months as a basis, then to undercharge, in their words, for a couple of months, then to calculate the excess on a basis that they thought was appropriate, and then to divide it among the 3 months. The consumer here is left with a fait accompli.
See, let me try to give you one specific data which I have been monitoring. Typically, if you consider the summer months, now during the day, because of the lockdown, all the theaters, all the establishments were closed. So during the day, the consumption used to be of Bombay in the range of 1800 megawatt. Now compare it at night, at 11 o'clock night to 4 o'clock in the morning. This consumption used to shoot from 1800 to 2400. That means it used to shoot by 600 megawatt, which is roughly 1/3 more. Now, what people were doing from 11 o'clock night at 4 o'clock, they were obviously sleeping. But because of the summer, they were putting on the air conditioners of their bedrooms. So the crux of the issue is the use of the air conditioner shoots up the consumption considerably. And people were quarantined, and during that time, they might have used. The crux of the issue repeatedly, which I am saying, is that the correct thing is, don't go by the assumption, don't go by this, but why don't you believe your own meter? That is the crux of the issue. Go and read your meter, read your energy bill, and see whether it have you consumed or not. And even if you are not, let's say,
let me ask you another question, Mr. Pense. I get your point.
Yeah.
I get your point, and you have a right point, you have a fair point. Instead of just very quickly jumping to the conclusion that you have been unfairly charged, go to your meter, see it. It could be pretty transparent. But I have now a different question, and something Mr. Saxena alluded to in the beginning, and which is part of his PIL as well. We are now in a situation where there has been a hit on people's incomes. We're in a situation where more and more people are working out of home. The home has become the office, the home has become the school, the home has become the coaching class, the home has become the gym, everything. So clearly the electricity consumption of households is going to be more than it was before consistently. Do you not think, as a consumer activist, that this calls for a relook on policy? Because on the other hand, industrial and commercial use of energy is also going down. So is that load then going to be shifted to average household consumers? Can you hear me, Mr. Pense? That question's for you. All right, I don't think Mr. Pense can hear me. We're going to check his line. Mr. Saxena, if you heard that question, do you think we need to look at a bigger picture? And this is what you ask for in your PIL as well, isn't it?
Yes, I asked particularly in my PL that I was going on totally humanitarian grounds, like what Madhya Pradesh government did. I just raised a point that we are sitting at home, working from home. Maybe the consumption may be on the higher side, but let the electricity companies file their reply that why the consumption was so high, or why the charges were so high. Is there any increase in rate, or because I was hearing that somewhere that it was around 22% hike in the rates of the electricity. Let them file a reply. Let them address our grievances first. Then only we can we can move to apex court also then. But at least they should reply. They should address our grievances at the earliest, because see, we the middle class people, or maybe upper middle class, has a standard of living style. He will put on AC, he will work on laptop, maybe he will run on the cardio machines. So you can't, you have to have some strategy. We are working from home we are observing the lockdown 100%. So have some humanitarian ground for us also. Government may give some subsidy. That's my whole point.
Absolutely. Mr. Pense, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear
that
you.
is the question.
Yeah.
We are all
No,
at home,
I'll tell you.
and
See,
we were all at home because
Yeah.
of a government-induced lockdown.
Yeah. See, what you are trying to say that now let's say our office has been shifted to our residence. So should we not get more concession? Let's look at the type of slabs that we have got. We have got typically, these are, I'm giving you a quick hint. Let's say for 0 to 100, the slab is about 4 rupees 50 paisa. From 100 to 300, it is in the range of about 657. Then it goes to 9 or so. Now, try to realize one part. When you go up in the slab, then the tariff is increasing. Try to compare this slab with respect to commerce, it is 11. So, and the average cost of power today is in the range of 6 rupees 35 paisa. So anything less than 635 is subsidized either via cross subsidy or via government. So if the subsidy comes, let's say for example like Delhi, 0 to 300 is free, then there somebody is paying that bill. Then there is a different thing. But the question is that much of money has to come via either subsidy or cross subsidy, either from the government or from the industry. Now, when the industry is closed or the commerce is closed, where from you are going to get that sort of a cross subsidy? So the government either chips in and then only gives. Other than government, I don't think.
Exactly. Are you going to get it from my pocket, Mr. Pense?
No. The question is in
exactly. So government has to think about it.
But that question goes to the government. Then all of us can plead with the government that you subsidize us, like say maybe Delhi from 0 to 300 as free. No problem about it. But then that urging will be with the government. It cannot be with the utility that you give us, because the tariffs of the utility are decided by the regulatory commission. They take into account the subsidies. So then our pleading will have to be with the government that please give us subsidy so that
I understand that. I understand that they are also going concerns. I understand that, Mr. Pense. Yeah. They are also going concerns. They have to make a profit. But I just want to bring to the notice of viewers that in a lot of industrial complexes, as a means of promoting business, sometimes electricity, etc., is subsidized. Remember, right now when you are working from home, you are paying the cost of this utility, which otherwise you would have done from office. Someone's got to pay that bill. Can it be only you? Should it be only you? The average consumer, the average viewer, is a question we must think about and not just let this go. We hope that that good fight is being fought. Mr. Saxena says he will take it further, and we will keep watching this space.
Absolutely.
I want to thank all of you for joining us on the first big story this evening.
Thank you.